Hey, today we're at the back of the bus and we're actually doing some maintenance. We're trying to get out of here probably within the next month. And so before that happens, we want to change the thermostat. And to do that, it's actually relatively simple. This is the 5.9 Cummins turbo diesel that I'm going to be working on. So it's a pretty similar process to that of the trucks, although the coolant system is a little bit different. So the steps are going to be pretty much the same, I would say, on most buses. But if you're specifically looking for the 5.9, you've come to the right place. You're going to need an 8mm socket, a flathead screwdriver. You may need a pair of pliers. I didn't, but you might. Obviously, you're going to need your thermostat, which you can actually just pick up at like an AutoZone, because this is the same engine that is found in some of the Dodge trucks. So I just went to an Advanced Auto Parts, like local to me, and asked them I want the same thermostat that's in that engine, my year, and they had it in stock. It was about 30 bucks, I think, and then you're gonna need some coolant. And so I went with a coolant that will blend with anything because I don't know exactly what's in there, and I really didn't want to take any chances. So I did a concentrate, which means you have to mix it, but you can also go with the 50-50 and it's already mixed. So you're gonna come down here. There's actually a valve right here that can release some of your coolant. And so you're actually going to turn this knob right here, and that'll release some of that coolant, so that whenever you take the coolant hose off of the thermostat housing, coolant doesn't pour everywhere. And I've just got that draining into a container. So just let some drain out. So mine actually has an 8mm on there, which is nice because then I only need one tool. I don't even need the flathead. Some of these will have a flathead attachment to it, so it just depends on what yours looks like. Okay, there we go. We'll shimmy that up, and this probably hasn't been moved in a long time. You don't want to do any damage to this, so I'm going to try not to use a screwdriver or anything on it. Okay, there we go. So now let's see. Okay, so I did let enough out, so no coolant's gonna come out of there. So you can just set that to the side. Just make sure it doesn't tip down, because then more coolant might come out of it. And then there are 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm gonna use that exact same 8mm bit that I had before. One last bolt, and sometimes these housings can be a little sticky, but mine just came right off no problem. So this actually looks like a newer thermostat. So I was having some overheating issues, and that's usually why you'll do this, is one of 2 things can happen, and you just pop it off just like that. So one of 2 things can happen with these. They can either stay open or stay closed. So what happens is that when the engine warms up, the coolant warms up as well. And so when your engine reaches a certain temperature, the thermostat will open up to regulate that temperature. So the thermostat makes sure that it stays at that temperature by allowing coolant to flow through it and then cool the engine down. Well, if these get stuck closed, then that coolant is stuck in the engine and it's just gonna keep heating up until the engine overheats, or it can get stuck open, which will keep the engine too cool, and you're gonna lose a lot of efficiency. So I already cleaned up my top of my housing, and then I made sure that I cleaned the bottom of the housing as well here. I'm not gonna use any sealant or RTV or anything like that, because that's what the seal's for. So we're just gonna drop in our new thermostat, perfect fit, and then we'll start to put it back together. You don't want to over tighten anything that has a seal in it, so you don't have to go crazy with this. Just get it tight in probably another 1/2 to 3/4 turn. That should be good. So now it's just reverse order. You take your hose right back over the top, and if If this is too corroded and pitted where it might cause leaks, you can actually move that hose clamp up and down a little bit just to make sure you don't have leaks in the future. Again, for me, it was the same size. It might be something different for you. Okay, again, not too tight where because you could go so tight that you actually end up destroying some of this rubber. So that's tight enough that it's not going to cause any leaks or come undone. And then, so you'll come back over here, make sure earlier that that valve is tightened. You don't need to tighten it too much. Like I said, mine was hand tight. I'm just going to take these pliers and just go a little bit more than hand tight. Okay, so the final step is to fill it back up with the coolant that we lost at the very beginning. So make sure that you put the same coolant in it that you started with, or use a coolant that mixes with all the coolants. I actually got a concentrate, so I'm gonna put in some coolant and then I'm gonna put in some water and keep going in that process. Don't use tap water. Too many minerals that will build up in your radiator system. I've seen distilled water used, but apparently the very best is softened water, if you can find that. Fill this up to the neck and then run the bus to operating temperature. And then once that coolant gets into the whole system, I'm gonna come back out, check again, and then possibly add more coolant. I actually had to go grab some more coolant because I was really low, so that's another important note. Make sure that you're not just low on coolant, because that definitely could have been my problem. Do let the engine cool down, like I said before. Don't burn yourself. If you pop this open and your engine is hot, it's going to explode everywhere. So don't do that. Take your time, let that cool down. You should have no issues. The last thing you're gonna do, obviously, is make sure that that cap is on there securely. Really simple job. I'd say it took about 10 minutes overall work time, as long as you have the materials that you need. I didn't, unfortunately. I needed more coolant than I thought, so I made a run for some coolant. But actual work time, about 10 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, comments for me, tips for me, I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any ideas for another video, let me know about that too. I'd love to do some more videos. So, all right, we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much.